as an immigrant, you're always a foreigner here, but also you're also accepted here more than perhaps any other city in the world as an immigrant. And I think I talk to my friends whether they come from the West Indies or South America, and we talk about it together, and we all say how much we appreciate the fact that this city has taken us on and allowed us to live here. I think New Zealand is a very beautiful and quite a spiritual place, and in that way it'll always, have a great pull on my heart. But I do feel very, very isolated there because it is, sitting next to Antarctica rather than anywhere else, really. There are many, many thousands of New Zealanders who live in London who really adore New Zealand and have fond memories of it, but want to be a part of this hemisphere.
It's a poetry which is not afraid to be simple and direct. I think a lot of poetry wants to be very complex, wants to be poetic. And Alison's is poetic because of the motivation of the content, rather than trying to be a poem. Here's a poem. She's just talking very honestly about what has happened to her, what she feels, what she remembers. But she uses the art of poetry, which is essentially using words I suppose it's a summation of things, as opposed to broadening things up and exploring every tiny little avenue. It's focusing on 3 or 4 elements and finding the least amount of words necessary to talk about that, rather than the most amount of words. It's finding exactly the right word and using just that, just the right way, and then stopping, which is what most good poems are short, I think.
I'm going to read Young Sharks, and it's rather poignant since we are in New Zealand House, which has a beautiful view across London and looks over Trafalgar Square, where, of course, 60 years ago, victory in Europe was being celebrated, a little before victory in Japan. Young Sharks. The flotsam of war, their war. Be grateful for life, they said. We saw grown men crying quietly. Their war haunted us too. So we drifted like sailors, from a ship blown asunder, our hearts bobbing in the swell, floating in the cruel, swollen Pacific, bringing in a new war. Alone we cried out to each other, unseen, we are here, be safe, peace. And for a moment, there was paradise, a dying delusion, salt fever, as the young sharks took us one by one and the century darkened again. Live forever, sharks. Take us with you. Let us be your flesh as you break through the water of a new day, for we were just the baby bastards of war, and peace belongs to you. So there's a lot of visiting the past in the poetry, and there's a lot of examining the present. But every time she examines the present, it's always examined within the context of the past. And so it's a very strange, weird, poetical landscape that you're walking through. And also because Alison is a visual artist as well, very schooled in painting and photography, there's a great deal of visual reference in her work. And she explores that in visual metaphors. She explores that constantly from the point of view of an outsider, somebody who's twice in exile, if you like. And I suppose for me, that's the point of entry into the poetry, is this state that she's in of exile. And finally, exile becomes your country, even more than New Zealand or Britain or Australia or wherever. But it's a country which is accented by the other countries that you've lived in and have informed your work along the way.